Alright folks, this is Corey with Alien Laser Cleaning. I am going to go over the basics of the ZBTK controller board, right? And I have a 2000 watt continuous today. I don't have a pulse machine, but they are all basically the same as far as the controllers and as far as the wand. In this video, we will be discussing the basic startup procedure. The very first thing that you want to do before you plug it in, and I've already done this, is that you want to make sure that your chiller is full of water. Okay, it also runs off of a 60 hertz. Okay, so if you're running 50 hertz in your shop or your generator, it's not going to work. You will notice some stuff here that's left on. We purposely leave the stickers on so that you know and you can't screw up. You can see it says 20 volt 60 hertz, so 20 volt single phase. Okay, for those of you that don't know, and if you're still having issues with understanding that, it's power, ground, no neutral. Okay, that's the very first thing you check. Now today in this demonstration, I'm not going to be turning the laser on. I'm just going to be turning on the control panel. Okay, so you want to make sure that you have your power plugged in. Again, I'm in my home shop today, so you'll have to excuse the mess and the background noise. Very first thing you're going to do, now yours should be labeled. I build my machine, so I don't really label them because I know what they are. Very first thing you're going to do, make sure your power is plugged in. Make sure your air is plugged in. I don't have it today because this is just a demonstration of the control panel. So we always want to turn on the power, right? Turn on the key. Okay, you'll get a red light. And the very first thing you do is turn on the main power to the system. Yours should be labeled. It'll be labeled chiller. Okay. Normally what you want to wait, if your machine has been sitting for a little bit, this should be around 24 or 25. Okay, wait a couple of minutes, 2 or 3 minutes, let the chiller come on, let it do its thing, let it come to temperature, and then you can start up the laser. But now we're not going to start up the laser today, which would be this button, because we're just going over the basics of the controller. Alright, so what happens when you first turn it on after you see the alien laser is you have cleaning and you have settings. For this particular video, we're just going to go over, because it's already, by the time you get the machine, it's already been preset in the settings. But just to show you real quick, the password on that is 6. You have that in your manual, and you've got all these different calibrations. We'll go over that at a later time, but right now I want to get you started with the basics. Okay, so what you would do is come into the cleaning mode, right? You'll notice that it says admin and password. If you got the email and you got your laptop, those of you that bought 2 machines or more received a laptop, the instructions are in there. So the password is 1. You don't change anything on that, and it says hello admin. Now you're seeing a couple of different buttons here. You're seeing the swing, you're seeing files, you're seeing power. Those are your controllers, right, for the settings. Down below here is your sway, your air, your laser. Now, you'll never ever touch the air button, ever. It's already pre-programmed to automatically be on. We have installed a switch so that when you hit your trigger on your wand, it automatically deploys the air. Okay, so what we're going to be talking about now is the power. So actually we'll just start from top right. So in here you have files, right? And what this is you can save the settings, right? You can save the settings on your files, so that instead of coming in excuse me, to preset the swing, these are your different patterns. These are your different controls, right? You can come in here and set all these settings to what you like and save them into the files, and I'll be showing you that in a second. I just want to go over the buttons real quick. Your power, obviously, is, this is a 2,000 watt machine. So at 85%, we are at 1,850 watts. Okay. If I take it down to 50%, right, and you can also just tap it and do 50, I am now at 1,000 watts because this is a 2,000 watt machine. Same thing for your pulse machines. Whatever your maximum power is, it's according to how many watts you have. Now, the kilohertz, basically goes from 40, right, to 500 for you guys, right? That's a good area frequency to work on. As far as the air delay, it's milliseconds. I've got mine set to 200. 100, 200 is good. Duty cycle, I always recommend 100%. Okay, so my power is set to 50, which is 1,000 watts. My duty cycle is 100%. The frequency is something that you're going to have to play with. I suggest you start at 500. If you want to get, 2,500 is good. So just play with that. Now, as far as the swing, okay, you have the straight line. The straight line, you can only set the X. X stands for length, okay? And it goes all the way up to 300, which is a big, big line, okay? That's almost a foot, okay? One thing that you guys need to know, in general, when you're working with your wand, okay, the end of your wand, according to the surface, right, let me turn this camera up real quick, should only be a foot. From here to here should be 1 foot. If you're way up here, if you're 3 feet away, it's going to make the pattern bigger. In general, we clean from 1 foot away, 1.5 feet, depending upon the material. We don't get this close. We don't get here. We get a foot away. I would say a good 16 inches is a good way to do it. Okay? So we don't get any further than that. So remember, the reason I'm telling you that, because when you set this perimeter, okay, this perimeter is set up for 12 inches. Basically, it's 11.8 inches is how far away you're supposed to be from the surface. So I just say 1 foot. It keeps it simple. So at 1 foot away, that beam is going to be 11.8 inches wide. Okay? The further away you get with your wand, the wider it's going to be. The wider the laser, the less it can clean, or less intensity it can clean. Okay? So that's real important. The speed, you can play with the speed. I always have mine set to the highest, which is 25,000. I don't suggest going, the slower you go, you'll figure that out. So the slower you go, the slower the dot. Remember, it's a 2 millimeter dot that comes out of the laser. 2 millimeters, that's it. So it's almost like a single dot, and that dot is just going back and forth on the straight line. That dot is also creating all these patterns. Okay? So keep that in mind. So the faster the speed, the faster it's drawing out the pattern. Okay? So you can only go, the minimum you can go is 10, which is 1 meter. I wouldn't suggest that because it's not moving at all. In general, I would say a good thing to have is at 100 meters or millimeters, sorry. Right? And so that's that. As far as the rotate angle, that is if you are, let's say you're cleaning something from the ground, right? Let me get a better example. Let's say you're cleaning this and you're at the ground, right? If you're at the ground, your laser's pointing up. If it's pointing up, the bottom half of the pattern is stronger than the top half of the pattern. Like if we're running a rectangle one, right? So, escape. So that's what this angle is for, okay? It means that the bottom half, now on a straight line you don't really have that, but it means at the bottom half you can make it to where it's less stronger than the top half. That way it evens out, or vice versa. If you're pointing down on something at an angle, you can do a negative, right? You can do from negative 360 to positive 360, okay? And that's what that does, okay? Now, for all these patterns here, you have an X and a Y, okay? So the X, like we said before, is the length. The Y is the width. Now, this is a rectangle pattern. So on the rectangle pattern, I had to cover this light up with some blue tape because it was too bright, guys. Sorry about that. On the rectangle pattern, this is always going to be, the X is always going to be double the size of this, or just a little bit less, because remember, you're trying to achieve a rectangle type pattern. You can make that a square, and obviously these are squares if you want, right? Now, you'll notice as you're cleaning this sign number, it changes the way that the pattern works, and you can't see that until it's on, okay? And I'll show you that here in a little bit. And then that's how this controls it. So if it's a circle, right, it has the different patterns here as far as how it clean. Let me close in so you guys can see that a little bit better. There we go. You can see that it changes. It goes from one side, dot, 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 other side, dot, 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 or it can do a zigzag. You can go there, 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 then come back up the opposite direction and start over, right? Or it can do like almost like a rectangle square where it goes down like that. That is what the pattern is emulating, okay? And you will just have to play with the numbers on how fast, how slow you want it. Okay, excuse me. Same thing with the square. You'll want to make it even. So in this case, if you want the square pattern, these numbers have to be the same. Okay? So just remember that. Length, width. You can change the fill type all day long. It doesn't matter. Okay? There's 4 of them. The circle, I never use this pattern at all. Ever, ever, ever. And the reason I don't is because it leaves a dot right in the middle of whatever it is you're cleaning. My go-to patterns are the line, the infinity loop with the circles, and then the regular infinity loop. Okay? As far as the grid is concerned, it's pretty cool. It does it back and forth and all that. It'll go from top to bottom, side to side. Okay? And of course, if you change the fill pattern, it changes the way it's cleaning too. So just keep that in mind. Okay. And then of course there's the flower pattern. It just does that. That's all it does is a flower. And then the infinity, same thing. It needs to be changed to, because it's a rectangle pattern, it needs to be changed. The phase move changes how it works, so kind of play with that. Now, to save a file number, okay, let me show you that real quick. And obviously, once you have your swing set up, you have your pattern set up that you want, you would hit sway, right? and it's not going to work because I don't have the laser on, and then laser, right? And it's going to say, please make sure your surroundings, blah, 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 blah. But it's not going to work because I don't have my laser on. You never have to hit the run button. So now, here's the thing. You can't change your settings, right? Look, it won't let you do it. If the sway is on or the laser's on, it will not let you change your settings. The only way you can do is to take it back off. Okay? So now, let me show you this. We're going to create a infinity pattern, and we're going to change it to 60. Enter. It's on 5, right? So now, if I wanted to save this infinity pattern, because it's like the settings here I like to use, I come into File, right? I'm going to put it on file 4, and you see, let me close in so you guys can see it. You can see that it's going to save, right? I want to change the name of it. I'm going to change to demo, right? Enter, right? Then save. Now look, it automatically changed the numbers of the X and the Y, okay? And it changed everything else there, the frequency, the delay, the mode, everything, okay? So, and now, if I go to this file, it just says file 1. If I go back to this file, I don't know why it didn't save it. Let me see, why did it not save it? Huh. I don't know why it didn't save it. Hold on a second. Let me figure that out. Demo. Enter. There it is. Save. Yeah, now it saved it. Okay, cool. I don't know what I did wrong. So now look, you can see it just says file. The problem is it's not saving it on this side. So I don't know why that is. I don't know what's going on there. I'll have to look at that. Anyway, that's how you save whatever you're doing. So if you get to your stuff and you want to save this, right, let's change this to 80. Okay, and then we go back and we go to file. Let's put that on 3, right? You can see if I save it, it just changed it, see? It just changed the settings. Now, you don't have to name them. You can do, oh, file 1 is this, file 2 is that. If you just remember, it's good, right? And then if you go into common, it has all the common stuff, right? Common is your basic setting, right? And it has it set up for basic cleaning. All right. And that's pretty much it for this video. It's gone over 18 minutes. So I just wanted to give you the basics. We'll have more stuff later on about the settings and everything. That'll be in a secondary video. But remember, always take your cap off when you're cleaning. A lot of people don't do that, and they wind up burning their cap. So I want to make sure you understand that. And also remember, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I pulled the trigger and it doesn't work. Okay, you have to double click 1, 2, not 1, 2, 1, hold, 2, not 1, 2. Okay, I have a lot of guys that do that. They double click really, really fast. It's 1, hold, 2. Okay? All right, guys. See you on the next video.